Hello, history class. My name is Joel Jewin. I'm going to be your instructor this semester. And this is just a short tutorial video on how to access our class, where things are located, and how to get going for the first few weeks. So the first thing that you are going to do is go up to, from Muskegon Community College's main page, go up to My MCC. I'm sure some of you have taken online classes through Blackboard before, but this is just going to be just sort of a quick guide for those who have not. So once you have logged in, you should be able to come here where you are able to check your email, and all your online classes should be listed down below here. You will probably have a few less than I have, but you will need to find the one for our semester, which is History 150, 2016, FA. If this is a future semester, yours might be a little bit different, but always remember it's going to be course number, the year, and then the semester. FA for winter, WI, or FA for fall, WI for winter, and SU for summer. So when you find the correct class, click on that. I'll also have my last name posted, Juen, J-U-E-N, to know that it is the right class. So this is our basic class site. This is what you'll see when you log in. And when you are ready to get going. First thing you'll see is the announcements tab here. If I have anything to announce to the class, I may use this, but more likely I'll just be sending everyone an email. That's going to be my primary mode of communication with students throughout the semester, so make sure you are checking your Muskegon Community College email frequently, because that's where the majority of the important information is going to be going. But if you log in and you see a message posted here, if I do post an announcement, I will also be sending an email as well. The first place we're going to go and look at is course information. This little bar off to the side is how you're going to be maneuvering around the site and getting to all the important sections that you will need to complete. Course information is a good place to start because it sort of has where the nuts and bolts of the class are going to be. First thing is the syllabus. Syllabus is going to be very important. It really outlines in pretty good detail everything that the class is going to be about. It's going to have all of the assignments listed there and a short description of them, how many points everything is worth, and so forth, as well as all the college policies and all the class policies. So make sure you look through the syllabus in fairly good detail, and if you ever have any questions, that's going to be a good first place you're going to want to check for your answers. Right down from there we have the class schedule. This is sort of a condensed version of the class schedule that's found in the syllabus. This is going to have just a quick guide of a week-by-week basis, what is due, when it is due, and so forth. So trying to figure out due dates and things like that, class schedule is a great place to go. Next down here, we're going to have a file on the course assessments and policies. This is just sort of once more kind of a refined version of what you're going to find in the syllabus with just the most pertinent information, what's due, when things are due, and some of the basic and most important class policies. So make sure you check those out. And once more, if you have a quick question, that might be a good place to go for an answer. Some information just about myself here, my contact information. Feel free to email me whenever you have a question. You can call me on the phone as well. If that is your preferred method of communication, that's just fine. That's also listed in the syllabus too, and a quick link to the academic calendar. So a lot of your questions can be answered just by looking at the course information tab. Let's scroll down one tab here to the Learning Modules tab. Now the Learning Modules tab is where the majority of sort of the action is going to happen in the class. And you're going to go in on a week-by-week basis and look at what's going to be due and complete assignments. This is where you're going to go. And if you look here, it's all separated out on a weekly basis, week 1, week 2, week 3, and so forth. Also, the dates that the weeks run are also posted, so you are going to know on a week-by-week basis what information we are going to be covering. It is up to you if you would like to work ahead. I usually open up sections a couple weeks ahead of time, so if you do know you're going to be absent for a certain amount of time, or you have something coming up, or you just know you're going to have a busy week, you can feel free to work ahead. The most important thing, though, is that you cannot go back and turn in information past this end date. So if it's past August 28th, you will not be able to turn in any week 1 assignments. So make sure you keep that in mind as you are planning out your work and your weeks. Going into the week 1 folder, this will show you everything that's going to be due the first week of class by August 28th. First of all, you can view an introduction PowerPoint by clicking on this. You can access the PowerPoint right here. And when you are done watching the PowerPoint, every week in my PowerPoints, there are going to be some questions that I ask throughout the PowerPoint. And you can access those by going to the PowerPoint questions, filling those out. They should be 35 words in length. And there's a few other requirements which will be made clear in the syllabus. I also have a rubric available to see exactly how to get full points on the PowerPoint questions. But that is how you access the PowerPoint questions. And as I said, you'll pretty much be answering one set of those a week after viewing the weekly PowerPoint. So that is how you get to the introduction PowerPoint there. Next folder is in the weekly folders is going to be the discussion questions. You can click on that. This goes to the discussion question for week 1, which is going to be a little bit different than our usual discussion questions. The first discussion question is just going to be sort of an introduction about yourself to the rest of the class. So the assignments are always listed first, and then there's a link to go to the discussion board and make your post right down here. And I'll get into the discussion board in a little bit more detail in a moment here, but I just want to show you real quickly in the weekly folders how to go ahead and access that. Also in week 1, you're going to be taking the syllabus quiz. It's just a brief quiz, 10 questions about some of the most important points in the syllabus. So you're going to want to read the syllabus carefully and then go in and answer the syllabus quiz. Also, if it's easier, you can go in, open the syllabus up, in another browser or as a PDF, and then go in to the syllabus quiz to make sure you have the syllabus up while you're answering the quiz to make sure you get that information correct. Introduction assignment is going to be just an introduction about yourself, some of your goals, your educational experience, things like that to myself, just so I kind of get to know you better. And I'll be writing a response to each of your introduction assignments within a week or so of you turning that in. The last thing you're going to be seeing most weeks is a crash course video. We usually have 1, 2, maybe sometimes 3 of these short videos, which are a web series on YouTube, which are very good at sort of giving a broad perspective of a lot of the topics we're going to be talking about. The host, Chris Green, is very entertaining, very fun to watch, and it really sort of brings a lot of the things we're going to be talking about together in a short, relatively easy to understand way. So I certainly highly recommend you watch those. It's not a requirement, but it might help put a lot of the other things we're going to be talking about in context and help you out with your weekly assignments. So I certainly encourage you to take a look at those. They're also a lot of fun. So that is our first week, the assignments that you have to have done here, as you can see, by August 28th. Starting with week 2, this is going to be more how a typical week looks. So clicking on the week 2 folder, you'll see it looks very similar to the week 1 folder. There's going to be a PowerPoint you need to answer, followed by some PowerPoint questions. There's also going to be then the first quiz, which is going to be on chapters 1 and 2. So make sure by the end of week 2 you have read chapters 1 and 2, and you can go in and take the brief 10-question quiz by clicking right here. There's also our crash course video and the discussion questions for week 2. Now clicking here on the discussion questions, you will now see a more detailed assignment and a link to the primary sources, which you're going to be looking at before you answer the discussion questions. So basically how these are going to work is every week there's going to be a primary source, which is like a document, pictures, some source that presents historical information to the class. You're going to be reading through that and then answering some basic questions on the discussion board and then discussing those questions with your fellow students. So every week I will have the title of the week, some instructions on what you are going to be doing, and then the questions that you need to be answering in your post. So make sure you are keeping track of these. Also some reminders on when you need to have things due. Every week you need to make your initial post in the discussion board by the Thursday. So for the first week it's due by Thursday, September 1st. And you need then to respond to another student's response or post by September 4th. There will be more details in this in the syllabus and so forth, but those every week you're going to be making one post to answer these questions and at least one post to respond to another student in order to get points for that week. You don't have to only post one time. If you're going to be talking to multiple students, that's just fine. If you get into a conversation with a student and you're posting back and forth, that is just fine. But you do need to make at least one post to another student, and that post needs to be at least 50 words in length. Also, the answer to the discussion questions needs to be 200 words in length in your response to my initial questions here. These requirements are also listed down below here, and there's going to be plenty of reminders about that. Also, you're going to want to check out right here the primary source rubric. A rubric is pretty much a way to breaks down how I grade assignments, and you'll be able to look through there and see in detail the requirements that I have, and if you see what grade you get, you can look into the rubric and see why you got that grade, what my grading criteria was. And that can be very helpful as well. So before you fill out your first week's assignment, I definitely look at the primary source rubric right here. So going into the discussion questions, you can click on the quick links here, and this will bring you directly to that week's discussion question. You can also access the discussion board by going to the discussions tab over here. So there's a couple different ways you can get in there, but an easy way is to just go directly in through the weekly folders. So you can see here we have our week 2 discussion post, discussion questions. You can go in there. Here you go. Here's a quick post from myself. You're then going to need to, what I'd like you to do is, here you go, from the forum page, go ahead and hit create thread. So when you, let's back up one more step here just to make sure we have this straight. You go into the primary source discussion questions, and then you go create thread to post your answer. When you create thread, you need to put in a subject. Just make the subject your name, so I know that you are the one who is posting this response. So for me, it would be Joel Jewin. And then right down here, then you will type your responses to those questions which were posted before. So since the questions aren't going to be visible to you once you get into start writing, it's going to be a good idea to copy those questions down and make sure you have those at hand before you start writing. But this is where you're going to be posting your answers. And when you are done, then you will hit submit. And then your answers will pop up here right above my post. You'll also then be able to see everyone else's posts. You will not be able to see other students' posts until you have posted your answers. After you've posted your answers, you'll be able to see the rest of the class and their posts, and then go on and respond and talk to the rest of the class. So that is how you're going to access the discussion questions each week. Once more, one more quick reminder, your initial responses to my questions are going to be due on Wednesday. Then your responses to other students' answers are going to be due by the Sunday date, which is always the last date for the week. And once more, those reminders are always going to be located with the assignment here in the discussion board, listed right here. As I said, you can also go into the discussion board by clicking on discussions, and then you can see the various weeks, how to access those, and click directly in to get to the same area where we just were before. So that is how you go through the learning modules. As I said, we'll be doing this pretty much on a week-by-week basis, which is all outlined right here. All assignments are going to be due by the last day, by the Sunday date, except for your initial responses to the primary source discussion questions. Your primary source discussion answers are always going to be due by the Thursday of that week. So that is pretty much where all the meat and potatoes here of the class takes place. A few more sections we have are the resources tab. You can go in there to take a look at the primary source or final project guidelines. We will be having a final project, and you can take a look at those guidelines right in here under resources to start thinking about that. And I'll be sending out reminders about the final project throughout the semester as well. This is also where the rubrics are going to be found for the primary source assignments, the PowerPoint questions, and the final project. So make sure you are taking a look at these rubrics to know how I am going to be looking to grade your assignments. The extra credit tab, there's not a whole lot in here right now, but I'll be making things available throughout the semester as I usually open up a few options of extra credit throughout the semester. So that is essentially our tutorial here. You know how now to get into the site, how to access the course, how to post in the discussion board. And if you have any other questions about anything I showed you here or anything else about the class in general, make sure to give me an email and let me know. So thank you for taking the time to watch my little video here, and I hope you have a great semester and enjoy learning about history.